Well, welcome back. I'm going to be making some pop-up boilies today. Just 5 ingredients. So let's quit wasting time and get started. First thing I'm going to do is start with some cereal. These are the Honey Nut O's, generic Cheerios. And I'm going to grind it up in this little food processor here. I'm going to start out with about half the bag, and I'm just making a small batch today. So we'll grind up some of this and see what we get, and grind up more if we need to. Pretty fine, not complete powder, but nice fine grind. And dump that into the bowl here. And I think that's going to be plenty for the small batch that I want to make today. I'm going to take 1 egg. Give that a little bit of a whisk. Next ingredient is cream corn. Now you can use kind of whatever liquid ingredients you want. You could use milk, you could use anything you could think of, really, even water. But I'm using cream corn because there's something about corn flavor that gives me a lot of confidence when I'm fishing. Carp just seem to like anything corn. So I'm just going to start off with a little bit, maybe 1/3 of the can. Mix that up with the eggs. Now if you're going to add liquid flavoring, you can do that now. Mix it in here with the eggs. Today I'm going to go with some butter flavoring. Never tried this flavor before. Seems like it could go well with these ingredients here, and not very much. That's probably good. Mix it up and see what it smells like. Yeah, that's pretty strong. Corny butter flavor. So I'm just going to put a splash more. Okay, that's going to be it for the wet ingredients. That's just an egg, some cream corn, and some flavoring. Got our cereal here, and to that I'm going to add some flour. So we had about a cup of cereal in the bowl, and I'm going to just do about half a cup of flour. Mix that up. Then this has to be general purpose flour, or any kind of wheat flour. Corn flour, rice flour. It's not going to give you the dough you want with this. It needs to have gluten in it. So all purpose flour, or any kind of flour that's made out of wheat. And now for the magic ingredient that's going to give us our flotation, some cork. These are just old wine corks that I had laying around. You can buy wine corks at like craft stores and stuff, or just pieces of cork. You can even buy cork dust if you wanted to. What I'm going to do is just go ahead and toss them in there like that, give them a little mix, and then we'll just wait 10 or 15 minutes for those corks to dissolve. No, you didn't really believe that, did you? Now, we are going to cut these up and grind them up in the food processor. Now the best way that I've found to cut these corks is to use a serrated knife, like this bread knife here, and you know, just stand it on end and just kind of saw through it. It doesn't take that much effort. And I've learned from experience, if you use just a straight edge knife and you just try and, you know, press down and try and slice it like you would a carrot or something like that, all that's going to do is compress the cork, and the cork's just going to go flying and the knife's going to come slamming down. It seems dangerous, so I'm using a serrated blade. And the reason I'm doing this in the first place is because if I just throw them in the food processor hole, they just kind of bounce around and don't actually get chopped up. And I'm starting out with 5 corks here. I'm just going to put them in. Once we're done mixing up, before we cook, I'll do a little float test to make sure that they float. If they don't float to my liking, I'll add some more cork. And after I cut them in half, I'm going to cut them another couple of times here. Make them down into quarters. Now we've got some nice particles there. Not powder, doesn't really need to be, but we're going to add that to the dry ingredients. Mix that up. And now's the time when I like to put on some gloves. We're about to get messy. Add our egg, cream corn, and flavoring mixture to the dry ingredients. Nice and gentle. And just gonna get in there and start mixing. And as you get this mixed up and get all the liquid and the dry ingredients incorporated, you'll know right away whether you need to add more dry ingredients or more wet ingredients. If you need more dry, just add more flour. If you need more wet, just a little more cream corn or water. So clearly that is too wet. It's more of a paste. We want a dough, so more flour. Getting there, a little bit more flour. And once it gets to this point where it's kind of too tough to run your fingers through, I just kind of smash it into a kind of a patty and then just fold it over. Smash, fold it over. We're getting somewhere. Yeah, we're getting somewhere. Starting to hold its own shape. Still a little bit stickier than I want. I'm going to add just a little bit more flour. Smash it, fold it, smash it, fold it, and I can tell already that this is going to be where we're going to stop with the flour because it's getting real firm. You really do need to spend a few minutes kneading this so that you get a tough, you know, kind of rubbery dough. You want it to be able to hold its shape, and you know, it doesn't peel off pieces like a paste would or something like that. And if you tear it, it should pull apart just like a dough. Springy, stretchy, rubbery. We're done with this. I'm going to put on a pair of clean gloves, make the rolling easier. So before I dive into start rolling the boilies, I'm going to do a little float test here. Just pull a little pinch off the dough here. Roll one. Let's drop in some water and see if it floats. Yep. So we're good on the flotation. Let's start rolling them. So a pretty well-known way to make boilies float is to, you know, make the dough and then instead of boiling them, pop them in the microwave and cook them in the microwave. And I've done that quite a few times, and while there is some truth to that, it does work sometimes, is really my answer to that. It's really hit and miss. Sometimes they float, sometimes they don't. Getting the cooking time right is kind of a crapshoot every time. And one thing I've noticed that even if I am able to get the cooking time right and get them to float right after I make them, after they've been in the freezer for a few weeks, they don't float anymore. So having the cork in here like this ensures that they are just going to float no matter what, and it just really takes the guesswork out of it. And as you're rolling, you know, this gets pretty sticky. You can add a little bit more flour. Add some flour to your gloves. It just makes things go faster. I'm making a variety of sizes here, you know. Some medium, some larger. And I'm going to make some smaller ones than this too. But yeah, probably take about 15-20 minutes for me to get these rolled up and pick it back up in the next step. Okay, as you can see, that little ball of dough made quite a few boilies. I didn't count, but I'm gonna guess 40, 45, 50, maybe something like that. I don't know, a lot of them, all different sizes. Let's go put them in the boiling water. Slide these in. They stick together a little bit when they're raw like this, but they won't stick together once they hit the water. In about 2 minutes. Give them a couple more minutes here. Alright, they're done cooking. Just going to get them out with the slotted spoon and lay them on this pan here lined with a paper towel. And let them dry out for a while. You're going to want to let these dry for probably like a minimum of a couple of hours before you use them. So just so they develop kind of a skin on the outside. And I'm going to probably leave these sit out the rest of the day. It's about noon now, so I'm probably going to put them away around dinner time, around 6 or 7 o'clock. So they get nice and dry, and they won't stick together when they're in the freezer. And you can leave them out even longer than that, you know, a couple days if you want them to get dry and hard. It's up to you. I'm going to get these spread out and let them sit here for 15-20 minutes, dry out a little bit here, and then we'll come back and do a little final float test and get you a close-up look at what these boilies look like. Stay tuned. Okay, well, these have been sitting out for a little over an hour or so, and they've got a good skin on them. Give you a close-up look here. You can see that there's pieces of corn. You can see the brown pieces of the cork, and of course the Honey Nut Cheerios and the butter flavoring are in there. They really have a really rich smell. I think they're going to work good. They're firm. I'm squeezing this pretty hard. It's not collapsing at all. And I made a few different sizes, you know, some smaller ones and some larger ones. And they darkened up a little bit as they're drying out. They'll probably get a little bit darker even. But I'm really liking these, especially how you can see the chunks of corn coming through in there. So let's do a float test here and see if they float. There we go. She's floating. Looks good. Can't wait to get these out fishing. Looks good, so I'm looking forward to getting out and doing some fishing with these. These kind of homemade boilies catch lots of fish. I've caught lots and lots of fish on these kind of boilies. If you want to see some examples of that, feel free to check out my other videos. But I hope you found that video useful. Hopefully it helped you catch some more fish. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.